And so I wrote this song, but in addition to writing the song, I took a cassette deck to my grandma Mignana's house when she was 80 years old, and I recorded her talking to me like I was a little boy again. And then I put snippets of her talking to me in the song. So, and you know what's really cool, you guys? At one point she says, someday, you know, after Grandma's dead and gone, you can play this song for people who's come after me, Victor. And she passed away a few years ago, so now it's like, you know, now when I hear her saying that on the song, it's so special because, you know, back when she said that, I mean, it was so many years ago, and now she's in heaven looking down on us. Yes, Winry.
Which character out of all the ones you've done did you enjoy doing the most?
You know, I used to say, which character have I enjoyed the most, she said. You know what, it's funny, I used to say, oh, I could never pick one. There's just so many, I love them all, they're like my children. I used to say that, but I don't say that anymore because, you know what did it? You know what pushed me over the edge? Brotherhood. After I finished Brotherhood, I was like, oh, why fight it? Ed is, I mean, there are not many Edward Elrics in anime, period. I mean, just, I love the character. He's so well written, and it's so, he's such a tragic character, really, you know? I mean, he's been through so much, and he's funny, but he's hurt, and he's bitter, but he's optimistic, and he's loyal, and loves his brother, and everything. So after I finished Brotherhood, I'm like, okay, I can't fight it anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and say Ed's probably my favorite of all the characters I played. But right after Ed, I mean right after Ed, is Tamaki from Orange. Oh yeah, get your giant Usa-chan up in here. Oh, look, dueling money.
What did I think of Anatole's imitation of me in oh, she was very good. She was very good. Yeah. Am I doing a voice in the new Transformers film? Yes, I am. The voice of Sentinel Prime. And,
Yeah.
what's the status of the next Star Trek movie? I believe they'll start filming sometime later this year. And, you can check on more. Oh, somebody's asking about Bruno Mars. Have you seen him? Yeah. You like the video? Yeah. There's a Bruno, I did a Bruno Mars video. Woo! Yeah. And it's out. You can check it out on YouTube. Yeah. Check it out on YouTube. I had a lot of, yeah. He's an interesting talent. Okay, so, you know, my parents came to the United States about 100 years ago as immigrants. They arrived in Boston. They were aliens and they became citizens. And I was born in Boston, a citizen. I went to Hollywood and I became an alien. Star Trek went on the air, can you believe it, in 1966. This laughter, I have touched the western wall of the holy place. I have soared alone above the cloud heads. I have walked the deep, dark tunnels of the earth. I have dined with mystics and with prophets. I have heard the pain of woman giving birth. I have been sought after as a teacher. I have been refused the laurel wreath. I've heard the thunder blast of sunrise. I have watched the final touch of death. I have played the rules set by the master, though often I didn't understand the game. I have worn more masks than I remember. I have been a face without a name. And when, like you, I ask the final question, who on earth am I supposed to be? I always come full circle to the answer. Me, only me, always me.
If you had a superpower, Mr. Lee, what would it be and why?
If I had a superpower, what would it be, say? What would I want?
What would you want and why would you want it?
Well, I hate to confess this in front of all you people, and don't let it get any further, but I do not have a superpower. But if I did, the one that I would want is probably one you wouldn't expect. The superpower I would want is luck. Because if you're lucky, then you have everything. Whatever you do, it turns out fine because you're lucky. Nothing bad happens because you're lucky. So maybe I should come up with, maybe that's an idea for a new, he'll do it first because he's faster than I am. You'll see it on his show and he'll be a guest star and I'll host it. But anyway, that's the power I would really like.
Thank you very much.
See, I'm lucky today. We got a big audience. I'm here with Jamie. The sun is shining. Everybody seems happy.
That's not luck. That's skill. You got it. Anyways, I'm a big reader of DC also. Loved your Just Imagine series when you released that. If you had the option of making any of your Just Imagine characters into an ongoing, which one would it be?
Before I answer, I have to tell you something. Years ago, I heard perfectly. I had great hearing. Now, as you get older, what happens, I heard your voice, but the words don't sound clear when they come through the microphone. If I were talking to you, I'd hear everything you said. So, Jamie, would you just would you translate?
Absolutely. Could you repeat that one for me one more time? Okay.
He wasn't listening.
See, you have skill. I don't. All right. If you can put any of your Just Imagine characters when you re-released Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, and such, and made them into an ongoing, which character would you?
I understand.
No, he did it they're Just Imagines.
Gotcha.
If you were to make any of those characters into an ongoing, which one would you pick and why?
You could make any of those characters into an ongoing. Which one would you pick? If I could make Superman or Batman ongoing? What do you mean they are ongoing? Aren't they still being published?
I meant your versions, boss. Or man. I meant your versions of the characters, the ones that you did for DC.
I did. You probably didn't see it. I don't know how many years ago, DC asked me to do a series called, I don't remember what they called it, but something like, if I had made up the characters, how would I write them? Oh, wait, well, what's the question? I was let her answer it. What are you asking?
The question is,
I thought I did a great job on all of it.
So I give you great credit for that.
I gotta tell you, I love writing those, and I've often thought some of them would make great movies, but they can't do it because they can't contradict the way their characters really are, and I can't make a movie of it because they belong to DC, so those great ideas are in limbo somewhere, and I guess unless they reprint them, nobody will ever see them.
Everybody, often people will ask, what inspired you, and with every creative endeavor, there's usually a moment of inspiration, and mine was, a number of years ago. I don't know if you know, I had a career in the movie business, and I was a producer, and I was in London for the world premiere of a movie I produced called There's Something About Mary, with Cameron Diaz and Ben Stiller, and I had an hour to kill, and I decided to go to the British Museum. And at the British Museum, they had this remarkable exhibit of ancient cards, like playing cards and tarot cards. But what caught my attention, at the very end of the exhibit was the only incomplete deck of cards. And on these cards were hand-painted images that reminded me of Lewis Carroll's fairy tale, except these images were dark and twisted and had this really cool goth vibe. And I was like, what's up with these cards? Where do they come from? And so I was telling all my friends, hey, go check out this deck of cards. And I was out having a drink with my friend Robert, and I was talking about the cards, and this girl walked by and he goes, Frank, I swear to God, if you bring up these cards one more time, I'm going to kill you. I'm like, hey, I like the cards. He goes, look, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to introduce you to an antiquities dealer. A friend of a friend knows this guy, and he specializes in all things to do with cards. So I said, okay, great. What's his name? He goes, before I give you his name, you have to make me a promise. I'm like, all right, no problem. He goes, you got to shut up about this card. So he gives me the card, he gives me the name, and he writes down the name, and it's Mr. Buffington, and right away I'm suspicious, like, Mr. Buffington, okay, right, what's the joke? He goes, no, the guy's world-class antiquities dealer. So he gives me the number, and I got really excited. Well, the truth is, I got really nervous. I don't know if you've ever done this, but because it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm sure some of you have. You know when you rehearse your phone call before you write down some notes, and then you get even more nervous because you're like, hello? So anyway, I got really nervous. I called Mr. Buffington, and then I just made a total ass of myself. Because I didn't know Mr. Buffington, he had a really high voice. So I went, Mrs. Buffington, how's it going? I'm from California. Is your husband around? Mr. Buffington, I am so sorry. You don't even know who I am. Let me pull my foot out of my mouth, and I backpedaled, and I apologized, and then I just blurted it out. I said, look, I was calling to ask a favor. Apparently you know something about this incomplete deck of Alice cards at the British Museum. And he stopped me. He said, not only do I know about those cards, Mr. Bador, I, in fact, own the remaining cards that completes the deck. Wow. Get out of here. Where do you live? I'll be there in 5 minutes. Calm down. I don't even know who you are, and you just invited yourself to my home. Mr. Buffington, is there an appropriate time I might come over to see you? He goes, you can come over in a week for a spot of tea. A spot of tea? I think that's where you put your pinky up, right? Okay. I didn't care. I showed up a week later. I knocked on the door. I kid you not, the door opened up. The guy with the high voice, 6'5", 250. I'm looking up like, Mr. Buffington? He goes, oh, please call me Dugan. Dugan Buffington? Did my friend Robert put you up to that? That's your real name? Can I tell you something? I was taken aback because where I grew up, where I went to school, if your name's Dugan Buffington, I guarantee it, you're beat up every single day. Not to make fun, because he was very kind. He invited me in, we had a spot of tea, but the guy was so eccentric. In the middle of the conversation, I was kind of talking like this, fast, and he got up, and he walked out, and he didn't say anything. Freak. He came back a few minutes later, and he had this big box, and he put the box down, and it was this old leather box, and I ran over to the box, and I said, what's with the box? This is amazing. He goes, the cards you're so interested in are in this box. And so I saw the box, I opened it up, and he slammed it down. He said, don't touch my box. Super freak. I go, I'm really sorry. What's the problem? He goes, Frank, before I open this box, I have to give you a word of warning. Okay. In this box is not a fairy tale. In this box is the story of murder and revenge and betrayal. Can you handle that? Mr. Buffington, bring it on, brother. And so he opened up the box and was filled with these cards, and he took these cards out and he started to tell me the story, this sort of epic story, one card at a time. And I ended up buying all those cards from him, spending all the money I made on Something About Mary in 2 years of my life, talking him into it, bribing him, and those cards inspired my whole series. So,
awesome.
Now, I get a lot of questions about the movie.